Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. This is the CBR number 6, the final CBR of the season. This is the Cat 4-5 race. That's my teammate Bert in front of me there. And once again, we start off in bad position, already 30 riders back. Um, yeah, this race is much like the other race, just, a lot of the same players, just a different category, mixed with a few more Cat 5 riders in there. So kind of half the field is Cat 5, half is Cat 4. Being a short course like this with so many riders, yeah, this was a pretty sketchy race. Um, yeah, it's just kind of the nature of the course and the nature of the classes that we're in that it's pretty sketchy. So anyway, like I said, I start off in bad position. Bert shot up to the beginning. I just kind of didn't want to. I saw him and I could have followed him, but he did a pretty hard acceleration and it was lap 1. So I thought I'd save a little energy and move up gradually. So yeah, it's kind of weird. There's some really crazy lines in this race. Again, I like to hug the inside. I feel more comfortable on the inside of the course. I think it's a little safer. Uh, you can dictate your line a little better. It's up to you to either speed up or back off, whichever, depending on how much space is available. But yeah, this is a pretty wild race as far as holding lines and stuff like that. And everybody's kind of antsy. Everyone's fired up. It's the last race of the season, and there's just a lot of people in a small space here. So anyway, I do race this race slightly better. It wasn't as fast either. It's probably 1 mile per hour or almost slower. I think in the first race we were hitting about 27 miles per hour. This one I think I averaged just under 26, something like 25.9 or so. Just depends on when you cut your Wahoo off or whatever. But so that's Connor again from Velo Kings up there in front of me. He said he just moved down here, so he's probably going to be doing a lot of Southern California races either this year or next year. Not sure which one of my teammates shot up the left side there, and that's Bird again in the two-tone blue to my right. It looks like it's Chris Mang on the inside there. So yeah, this race is much like the other one. It's not exactly my favorite type of course. Just these little kickers kill me a little bit, especially when you're back here. I need to definitely have better position. So I take a little moment here to kind of move up a little, try not to use too many watts. It's pretty tight though, so yeah, it wasn't always easy to move up. And when it looks like we're 6 wide here. So it's definitely not always easy to move up, and there's just a lot of bikes, a lot of bodies there everywhere. I almost started to just not do the voiceover. I'm sure people get tired of hearing me talk sometime, but I almost started not to do the voiceover and just let this one play raw, so you can hear all the all the yelling and just hear the sounds of a bike race or the sounds of a Cat 4-5 bike race. A lot of it's unnecessary. Myself included, we probably don't need to talk as much, and typically when you are talking to another rider, usually it's you're probably a little bit late or a little bit out of position. So you'll always hear a lot of people saying inside, or I'm on your left, or I'm on your right. But honestly, if you're in better position, you probably don't need to say anything. As you'll know, when you move up in categories, a lot of the other guys are not speaking as much as we do in the race. They just ride. So anyway, there's a D in front of me from Go Fast. I talked to D in Montgomery a little bit. They're putting in a lot of work, especially in I think it was the Cat 4 race. I don't know if it was this one or that one, but I think they're putting in a lot of work. They both do a lot of work in the races, and it's good to see. Like, some people get caught up in what your result is, but sometimes it's just good to be out there racing your bike. You have a role in the team, whatever the strategy is for the day, and you commit to it and carry it out. And you're not always going to get a good finish. Sometimes you're like D in Montgomery. Sometimes they're setting the pace and running down moves, or going on attacks and stuff like that. So So hey, right here, that's Austin to my right. He ends up winning the race. That's from PRT. So going into that last turn, I was a little late, and I said, "Hey, give me a little room," and he was like, "Cool, no problem." And as we went into the turn, another rider tried to shoot underneath me, but you just can't see it on film. And I said, "Hey, don't dive bomb." But for a second, Austin thought it was me. I mean, saying that he was dive bombing. So then the rider here, 765, that's Austin's teammate, he started, scolding me, and he misunderstood. He thought I was saying I was dive bombing. I mean, Austin was dive bombing. So Austin comes back right here, and you'll see he's talking to me, and he's like, "Oh, dude, it's all good. I saw you. You talked to me." He fist bumps me right there, and he's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." And I was like, "Oh no, your teammate thought that I was dive bombing on you, but it was really another guy underneath me." So just a little misunderstanding, but no big deal. And I understand his teammates' point of view too, because his teammates riding behind us, and all he sees is me come underneath Austin late, but he doesn't know that I had already talked to him, and he was like, "Yeah, cool, no big deal. I'll give you room." So it's all good, and congratulations to Austin too for winning the race. I think he finished up front in the Cat 4 race too, but he ended up winning this one. So yeah, congratulations again. Yeah, but here, as you can see, it's kind of like Groundhog's Day or whatever. I'm just doing the same thing this weekend, 2 races in a row. And, not to make too many excuses, but from the start, it's a little weird. Like, we come around, you have to grid. You can't go backwards on the course to grid. You have to do like a lap to get to the start finish line. And our tent setup's like all the way at the corner. So when we come around to start at the start finish line, we're already like 3-4 rolls deep. So you almost got to do a little effort on the warm up lap just to get to the finish line and get good position. So that's definitely just taking things for granted and starting off too far back, and then you got to do a lot of work to catch up. Here they part like the Red Sea. I didn't want to go to the left because there's a bunch of cones that narrow the course over there, so I knew they'd have to come back, so I kind of stayed right. But yeah, it's a lot of watts of hard acceleration here. And, again, this is just part of being out of position. So once it speeds up, you got all the preems and things like that, and you just got to get around a lot of riders, and it takes a lot of energy, more energy than I can afford to use, honestly. So the guy in front of me, I forgot what team that is. I think it might be Big Orange. I know they had 2 riders, and I'm not knocking anybody, but I know a lot of guys are kind of upset with them because they're going inside a lot as well. And it's just part of racing and things like that. But I will say this, like how I had the talk Austin and I had that little talk and with his teammate, a misunderstanding. But a lot of people yell inside, and that does not give you the right to the inside. So you'll see not on this corner, but the next corner, I think it's the 2 big orange riders are going to try to go on the inside here. And I don't know if you can hear it, with my voiceover, but they're shouting inside, inside, but they're late. Like I can't even see them myself. So if they're shouting inside, and they try to go in. It's not here. It's going to be, I think, the next lap. But they're going to be shouting inside. And I think one of the PRT riders are like, "No, I'm not giving up the inside." And he just, cuts off the inside, which is his right to do. If he's there and has position, when you yell inside, no one has to move out of the way. And honestly, if you have to yell inside repeatedly, typically that means you're too far back and you're doing somewhat of a dive bomb, even though you may not be in danger of hitting anyone, but you don't need to yell inside if you're in someone's line of sight. So if you're so far back that the person can't see you, that you're trying to come inside on, yeah, it's probably best to back off and let the rider in front of you take the line first, and you got to just slot in behind them. So this race is kind of funny that this is the 4-5 race instead of the 4s, which you would think the 4s would be a little smoother through the turn. But I think at the bottom of the hill, the 4-5s here take that turn a little better than the 4s did. It's not like this is a smooth race at all. I mean, it's really choppy and some really bad lines and near misses here and there. But yeah, just some of the cornering at the bottom of that hill, sometimes it was just a little bit better. So anyway, in my pursuit of moving up, I think I'm still about, I don't know, it's stretched out so much. I could be 30 riders deep still. That's Bert, my teammate, moving up, and again, I'm not going to move. This is the situation I was talking about right there, where the riders yelling inside and the PRT just took the apex. But the guys were not happy. They're cussing him out right now. But honestly, the PRT rider has the right of way. You know, his wheels, his handlebars, everything are in front, and that's his territory. He has a right to hit that apex. So if you can't get there early and right up next to him on the straightaway, then really you have no right to that turn. Even if you're yelling inside, you have no right to that space there. So that's just an FYI. Like I said, I'm not knocking anyone. I'm just trying to clarify again, because I think some people think if they yell inside that means, you know, they've given warning and they have a right to that space, but really you don't. Positioning is what determines who has the right, and really nothing verbal gives you the right of passage. So it's good to have teammates in this race. I usually am riding just me and George, or riding by myself, you know, depending on if George comes or not. But this race we had, I think, 4 or 5 riders. Yeah, I think we had me, George, Victor, Bert, and Chris Mang. So yeah, it's good, like, just to have teammates. We didn't have like a real solid plan or anything like that. We just decided just to jump in it and, you know, see where we're at. Mainly just come together late in the race and see if we're all still there, then maybe we can do something together. But you know, it was pretty much just individual. We're just out there doing our thing, and it's fun though. It's always good to have some teammates in the race. So yeah, just still trying to move up here. I'm still back in at least 20th, 25th, something like that, mid 20s. And this is just the problem. When you get back this far, it's really hard to hit the front. I mean, without using a lot of energy. I mean, you can always put in the dig, go up front, and then slot in. But you know, I'm trying to do it without using a lot of energy, or without using my own energy. So yeah, it's getting tight a little bit there on the left side, but honestly, this course it's not that bad, to be honest with you. I raced poorly this weekend, but you know, I can see that this course would be really fun to just ride it a little bit faster, a little bit smoother, and it'd be a really fun course. It's just short, um, and again, short course with so many riders, it just makes it tough. And I think that's just part of the challenge of lower category racing. Like, we don't stretch it out enough. So here, I don't know why, but there's a lot of movement up there, back and forth. There's a lot of left and right movement up there in the front, and kind of makes it a little sketch. Obviously, we're not going that fast. We're under 25 miles per hour, so it bunches up again. But yeah, I just don't know why these last few weeks everyone thinks, you know, they think it's the right thing to do to swerve back and forth across the road, but it really just makes it a little dangerous. Don't know why it's been popular these last few weeks, but it has been. See another close call there on the inside. Um, Guys were taking the corner a little too tight, and they couldn't hold the speed, and then around the outside's going a lot faster. And when you have difference of closing speeds like that, that's when disaster strikes. Someone gets pushed a little wide into the faster lane, and you'll have a collision. It's basically how I got my scars on my face from earlier this year. And I would say I put myself in that position because I was one of the guys carrying more speed on the outside when some people in the inside got pushed out, bumped into me, took my front wheel, and I was on my face. So here, that's George in front of me. Um, yeah, George and I, we've raced pretty much every race this year. Well, every CBR we've been out there for the most part. I think I missed one or so. But other than I actually missed one. I got sick after Tour de Marietta, and I had to miss the next CBR that next week. But other than that, I think we raced all the CBRs, and with mixed results. I've only had one top 10 this year, so I definitely haven't had too many good results. So the two PRT riders, Austin and the other rider, I forgot his name, but they go on an attack up the left side here. When that happens, the rider right there in the blue, white, and red next to me comes across, almost takes my wheel out. It was a really close call. But yeah, that picks up the pace. I think they get a preem here and just, stretches out the field a little bit, which is good. I think that was D from Major Motion next to me too. It's good to see him back out here racing, got his fitness back and stuff like that. I know D got caught up in a bad crash like a year ago, and that was kind of scary. Somebody kind of took him out. It looked like kind of on purpose, but who knows? It's just, it's racing. So yeah, we're about halfway through this race, and yeah, I'm still just kicking myself the whole time. Just using too much energy. I encourage the SDVC rider right there to take that wheel because he's opened up a gap a little bit, which I can tell he's a little gassed. He's struggling to close it, so I have to go around and use my own energy. Trying to be a little lazy and get him to close the gap, but sometimes you have to do it yourself. There's D coming in hot. He came in hot, found a little slot and shot through. But honestly, we should be taking that corner a lot faster. And then D from Go Fast takes off here and does a little attack to the same side. And that's a good spot to do it, right after you catch the guys that, tried to break away. The peloton likes to relax a little bit, and he's like, nah, that's not going to happen, bro. I'm not letting anybody relax. So D goes off the front and attacks right after. So that's like one of the perfect counter attacks that, a break gets brought back and everybody wants a little breather, and someone else launches a counter attack right after. So there goes another little bunching up on the inside there, which again, the inside line, a lot of people talk about it. There's nothing wrong with going in the inside line, but just know if you're shooting up the inside, it is your responsibility to pass safely. Again, the person that has the handlebar and wheel position, they have the right of way, so you can't just shoot underneath them and try to force them out or whatever. I think right here I'm having a little passive moment that I probably shouldn't be having. I mean, if you look, my heart rate's down to 167. Normally it stays closer to 180 in the races, so I'm definitely not gassed here, but I'm definitely sitting too far back, and I should be making up a couple spots every turn just to get until I get to where I want to be. And there it is, another 600-watt sandwich coming out of that, turn 2. And this is another thing, I just don't want to be so stuck on the inside here. It's easy to get boxed in. You can't react to any moves. I see Lance shooting up the right side there from Major Motion. Lance has been having a good season also. Started off a little bit slow, but then I think he's had 5 or 6 top 10s in a row now, and I think a few of them been top 5s. So I don't think he's had a win yet this year, but he's right on the edge of, getting a win. Lance and I bonded a little bit at Tour de Marietta, riding in that wind, that rain and wind. I kind of saved him for a minute. He was popped one lap, and I actually slowed down and picked him up and brought him back to the group because, I didn't want the group to fall apart. We didn't have a big group at the time, and it's like, no, we're faster with 5 of us than we are with 3. So brought him back to the group, and then we collected a couple more people. We ended up having like a group of 8 or 12 or something, and made up some good ground and just gained a lot of experience and bonded a little bit there. But I think since that race, basically, yeah, he's been on a tear since then. So here again, I use the opportunity to move up a little bit while people are coasting. I'm not using that many watts, less than 200 watts to move up. Then I coast as well, get a 4 or 5 spots. And it's something I need to do a lot sooner. We're down to like the last 5 laps now, and I really need to be in better position. The pace ends up picking up, and then it's just really hard to move up. There's a lot of bodies in front of me to begin with. And it's just, yeah, you just should not be back here. The last 3 weeks, I've done a lot of work on the front, like the last 5 laps to stay in good position. I got 1 top 10 out of it, and then 2 others I didn't get the best positions. 1 because of an accident, and then the other one because I was working for my team and led my team out. But still, doing the work early pays off, just staying in good position. So here I'm pretty close. I'm getting there, maybe 15th position now or so. And then, of course, the pace picks up off the front there again. So, you got to work for it. You got to earn it, and then you got to work hard to keep it. But the name of the game, basically, for me is positioning. So I think that's Roman right there, and with the blue Bianchi. Roman ends up getting on the podium today, and that's a great job by Roman. Roman, I raced a lot with Roman last year also, Roman and Tony. Chris is in this race as well. I don't think he had I'm not sure if he had a great finish on this race or not, but I know Roman gets on the box, so congrats to Roman on the podium also. I think Major Motion has a pretty big team in this race also, like 7, 8 guys. They have a lot of Cat 5 riders as well. So it's good to just see, people trying to do something, trying to get their team working, especially at the lower categories where everyone thinks no one works together. So it's good to see just some teams coming together and getting more riders out there willing to work as a unit. That's Chris there to my left there, from stage 2. Yeah, we're definitely going slow again, bunched up, 7 wide, and yeah, it's just not the place to be. So here, I didn't know what was going on. My man from LABA splashed water in my face, splashed a couple of the other guys behind us, and we're like, dude, come on, it's 50 degrees. What are you splashing water on yourself for? But, it is what it is. He was trying to cool down and thought he needed to do it, so we all got drenched a little bit. So I was going to follow Lance up the right side here, and of course it got shut down, and once again I'm boxed in, which shouldn't be here. You always got to give yourself an out. Roman shoots up to the outside, but that's a little wide for me, but I think I'm going to follow him anyway once we hit the straight. It's a little narrow over here because they got some cones to the right shutting off the road, so I think in a second we have to get past back to the left of the double yellow. Good thing is, everyone's playing nice and let us back in. All right, so I think we're maybe 3 laps to go here. So I try to get through this little space. It gets closed off. My man apologizes, but there was no need to apologize. Honestly, that was just racing. It's tight. You got 2 guys going backwards there, and you got a peloton going forward. So that it is what it is. That's just racing. So here I'm in decent position. I think there's only 1 lap to go, or 2 laps to go or so. I'm in decent position here. I'm back up to maybe the top 10. It's where I want to be. And I see the rider coming backwards here to the right. So just move over a little bit. I kind of want to stay here for another lap, ride it out, and then, of course, launch a sprint at the end. I think TJ moves up for Major Motion to kind of set the pace. So yeah, here with 2 laps to go, I think TJ's just setting the pace, trying to keep it quick for for his team. I know they have one of the guys, I don't know his name, he's a pretty good sprinter. He's been having some pretty good results lately. And yeah, so I think TJ's just trying to set the pace and keep it hot, trying to work for his squad. We get swarmed a little bit here, so I lose get shuffled back just a little bit. But I'm still not too bad. I mean, I'm still in the top like 15 or so, and I think we have one lap to go. So coming into this next one, we'll have one lap to go, and it's not bad. I'm in a decent position here. It's just a little bunched up, so we're at risk of getting swarmed. We're already 4 wide right here, so definitely don't want it to get any slower. And what's funny is I'm good right here. Heart rate's only 173, using a little bit of power, but for this stage of the race, that's no big deal. You got to do what you have to do here to get position, and I have it. I have the position I want. I'm in about 8th place here or so, and I just don't take advantage of it really. You'll see where I blow it in a second, and I just got a little impatient. So obviously the pace is hot now. It's the last lap, going into the last lap, so everyone's going to be fighting for this position. That's Roman in front of me, and I just get a little impatient here. I'm working hard. I'm staying on the wheel. We're hitting just under 400 watts here, actually over 400 watts now, and that's great because if we can keep it hot like this, then you're not really at risk of being swarmed. And I'm probably about 10th wheel right here. I don't know, 8th or 10th wheel, something like that. It's pretty stretched, so I can't really see. But I think here's where I kind of make my mistake. Everyone kind of sits up a little bit. And, I didn't know for sure how many people were off the front, so I decided to keep going, and I'm kind of stuck right here in no man's land. As you can see, my heart rate's up now from that effort. I'm almost at 190. Young man here cuts me off, and I'm like, hey, give me room. So he nods and says, okay, I'll give you room. I told him, I'll go through, but I don't have any teammates around me, so I had looked back, and I saw Noah from LABA, and I just said, okay, Noah, jump on. I'm kind of stuck. I didn't know if I should slow down or if I should go, and of course, I go, and I'm just kind of popped now. As the peloton comes through, another guy setting the pace, and I should have just been more patient. If I'd have just been more patient and sat up when everyone else sat up, let them come through and slot in, then I'm in perfect position to sprint, and right here I'm just popped already. I mean, my max heart rate is like 197. I was at 193, and I just didn't have it anymore. Right here I have nothing left. It's a struggle for me to hit that 300 watts right there. So I just said, okay, I'm done. It feels like being in a breakaway and getting caught at the line, but yeah, I was in good position, did everything I needed to do, and made that fatal mistake of shooting up to the front of the peloton. So anyway, that's pretty much all she wrote for this one. Last lap, I go from 1st to 40th or whatever place I end up coming in, which is not the important part. I don't really care about the actual finishing position, but I do care about my lack of execution right there. Did all that work for nothing, and it goes to waste. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next one. I think, like I said, we got team time trial. I don't know if I'm going to do the Hunt Circuit race next week in Chula Vista or not.